Well, welcome. We're glad that you joined us tonight on this next session of Life Conversations here at Bethel. Each week, if you remember, we'll sit down with a different member of the congregation, just talk about life and the journey God has taken us on. And we have a twofold purpose in doing this. One, we want to get to know each other in a different setting, kind of a one-on-one interview. But most important, we want to give God the glory. And as we talk about life, the things God has done, the things God has taught us, He will receive the glory. And so we're glad you joined with us. And we'd ask as you stay tonight as we sit down with Roger Amos. He's been with the church for a long while, and it's a great interview. And if you like gardening, listen all the way to the end. There's a couple tips and different things on gardening. So I hope you enjoy this week's addition to Life Conversations.
Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one who guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you.
Good evening, and welcome back for another episode of Life Conversations here at Bethel. This is our third episode. We've had the fortune of being able to have the interviews with both Pastor Aaron and Max Blake. And tonight, we have Roger Amos with us. So we look forward to have a long and great conversation with Roger. Welcome, Roger.
Thank
It's
you.
good to have you here.
Thank you. Good to see you, Darren.
What you been up to?
Working from home.
Working from home, yeah. Enjoying that?
Yeah, it's got its pluses and minuses. I'd say more pluses than minuses. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm close to the kitchen, and Terry fixes me lots of good meals, so I can't complain.
That is one of the problems that I'm struggling with when being at home. It makes the snacks really easy to get to.
Yes,
you know?
it does.
And there's no end to them. It's at least at work you can limit on how much you take with you.
Right.
But at home, the snacks are always there in the fridge, ready to go.
Yeah.
So how's Terry doing? How's she getting along?
Oh, she's doing fine. She's kind of stepped away from her job here with the virus there, and so she's at home, and Claire's back home too. So Terry and Claire have been doing a lot of stuff together while I'm trying to work from home.
Okay, you got your own little office set up and a different room and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the dog is my office assistant, so he comes and visits on a regular basis. And, he's usually ready to play at a moment's notice.
Well, that's good. Yeah. That's good. He doesn't try to join in on any of your work conversations and meetings, does he?
Fortunately, I keep the mute button on a lot, so yeah, we're okay.
Yeah, I run into that at home. Is we've got 4 dogs in the house. And Amy does a real good job of keeping them downstairs because I've got a room upstairs where I've got stuff set up for work. But every once, they're our alarm system, right? Anybody pulls in the driveway or goes up the road that they don't recognize the vehicle, it's like, holy cow, they set off an alarm, and once one barks, then all 4 of them start barking, and depending on who it is coming into the driveway, they start howling. And it's like, okay, where's my mute button? Make sure I have to do the same thing. Make sure my mute button is on. So it's different for sure.
Yes, it is.
So Claire being home makes it really nice for Terry and Claire to spend a lot of time together.
Yeah, and Claire's doing some work where she works for this company that makes greeting cards, custom greeting cards. So she's upstairs working on her greeting cards a lot, and Terry's been in the basement sewing and quilting and doing a bunch of stuff down there. So everyone's got their job, and
Okay. Well, that's
and
good.
so, yeah, it's just spend the time. I can tell you the house is as clean as I've ever seen it. So
Well, there, like you said, benefits for everything, right?
that's right. That's right.
So Terry sews and quilts. I didn't realize that she did that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. About any. I mean, her mom was very talented, and her sister is too. Both sisters, and they're really into, crocheting and making gifts and just different types of things. And so, yeah, very, very good to keep time occupied and make things and have things prepared. And
Sure. Has Terry been making any of the masks for anybody?
she has. She made a
that's
bunch of
nice.
masks for the office, doctor's
Uh-huh.
office she works at. So yeah, so she's been busy at that. Of course, they're designer masks. They're all different colors, different fabrics, and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they get their pictures taken with their designer masks on and everything. So,
Very cool.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the neat things that people have done in the opportunity of being able to make the masks and hand them out and enjoy a kind of a fellowship in doing that. And having those different materials and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's because there's all kinds of different things you can make it out of. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Claire's home from college, right? Where she's at
Correct.
college at?
Glenville State, yeah. So she got a scholarship to go up there many years ago, and she's on the acro and tumbling team. And unfortunately, her team season came to an end with this virus.
Sure.
So their competitions and stuff were halted, and so eventually Glenville made a decision to do everything online, and so she's come back home to finish her coursework. So I think everyone's online.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody's online. Caroline's doing the same thing. She's got all of her nursing classes online, trying to finish those up, doing all her practicals and her the different things that they would be doing in a hospital setting or wherever they're doing that. Trying to do those online by utilizing stuff like pop bottles,
Yeah.
for different things, and she come down the other day and said, "Is there an empty pop bottle in the house?" Well, yeah, there is. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't sure what she was using it for, but, it was part of the classes that she's taken, so, which is neat. And you said Claire's working on greeting cards. Is that part of what she's doing in college or to help with that kind of thing?
She's really talented in terms of drawing and doing different graphics and stuff. And she just picked up this job kind of as a pastime job. But her major is graphic design. She's already got a 2-year science degree at Glenville. So her goal is to be a graphic artist is her goal. So she's well on her way. Kind of into junior stage. So she's going to take some extra classes, and I think she'll be finished up. Maybe a year and a half, something like that.
Good. I'm sure she's looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think so.
Very cool. I didn't realize she had the talent for drawing and the graphic design and stuff like that. That's kind of a unique talent. Not a lot of people are able to do that.
She's been drawing since she was little. You could hardly get Claire out of her room because she just stay in her room and draw stuff. And, so she's a natural.
Very cool. My mom is kind of got that talent herself. I can't, if I'm not drawing a straight line on a computer with a ruler or a triangle or something, then it looks terrible. But my mom has got that knack for being able to draw, and she makes some really neat stuff, even to the point where she draws horses and cowboy scenes on the side of the barn, on the end of the barn there at the farm, which is pretty cool, and it's she bakes cakes and different things, does those kind of designs, and they all turn out really beautiful. And so having that kind of flair for things is kind of neat. And like I said, I didn't realize Claire had that. So
Yeah.
that's cool. Ben and Shannon, how are they getting along in these days in this crazy time that we're going through?
Well, Shannon's her work is stopped, so she's stays over to house a lot, and Ben, he's working from home, and so far I'm not aware of any domestic violence issues, and they are renting from Terry and I was informed that with the current requirements, the landlord cannot kick out the tenants at this time. So I guess we're stuck in this situation for a while.
Yeah, You got to hold on to them for a little while longer, I guess. Huh?
Yeah. But yeah, we got together for a small Easter meal, and so we've had a lot of fun. And Ben and I are working on. We got plans to put an equipment shed up around Memorial Day, so we're cutting pieces and kind of prefabbing that
Sure.
building. So we've been working on that. So we've been staying busy.
Oh, I'm sure. So Ben's working from home too, then.
Correct.
So, and he works over at Solvay where
Correct.
you are working, right?
That's correct. Yeah, he
Okay.
works in maintenance, and I work in the production part of it. So I'm on the west side, and he's got basically the east side of the plant. So we meet in the middle. You know?
Between the two of you, you're running the place, huh?
No. We run from the place.
Wow. So you and Terry have been married for how long now?
31 years. Yeah.
31 years. That's amazing. That's wonderful. So, where'd y'all meet at?
Well, we actually met at Big Bear. I was working there. I'd seen her at community college, and one evening I was working, and her mom always shopped together, and they was coming down the detergent aisle, and at that particular night, Tide detergent was on sale, and I was refilling the sale area, and I come up with this great lead-in line. You know, I thought, well, I see you all the time, I just don't know your name. You know, and the response was, yeah, so you know, just kept on walking. I was kind of crushed, to be honest with you. I went to the back room. I thought, I want to wait till they leave, you know. But the next day, she realized come to her senses, you might say,
Okay.
you know. And so, yeah, we've been hanging around ever since. So that was gosh, probably like 85, somewhere in there. So been a long time.
Wow. So 31 years. That would have been, you got married in.
Got married in 89 once I came
89.
back
Okay.
from school. Yeah.
Okay.
Got a job.
Okay. And you went to school down at West Virginia Tech, right?
I went to Virginia Tech.
Virginia
Yeah.
Tech. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's just one word different.
Just
man.
one word different. Yeah.
Just another 100 miles.
I went to West Virginia Tech. I was hoping you'd say that.
No,
Virginia Tech. That's right.
Yeah. I went to school for 2.5 years at the community college and worked at a grocery store. And then I was able to transfer. The only reason I went to Virginia Tech was I couldn't get into WVU.
Okay.
That particular year, there were a lot of transfer students, and there weren't any openings at WVU. My dad went to WVU. My brother went to WVU. And a good friend of mine, he wanted to go to Virginia Tech, and so I ended up going to Tech because I could get in down there.
Okay.
But, yeah. So I was there from 86 to 88, and then came back and started at BorgWarner Chemicals.
Borg Warner Chemicals. Not many people recognize that name, you know, unless they've been in the area for most of their life. They don't recognize it as Borg Warner Chemicals.
Yeah, it was a absolutely terrific company. They're very family oriented and just a outstanding place to work. And you know, not long after I started there, General Electric acquired BorgWarner, and things changed. And it was kind of a culture, went from a very family oriented culture to a kind of like you're a number type culture. So it was dramatic to see that. And every October, gosh, I was there like 18 years, but for the last 15 years, every October they have a layoff. You know, they kept downsizing and downsizing and downsizing. And that's really the reason I went to Solvay, was because the department I was in was eventually going to be terminated, and it's hard to believe they tore down the whole plant. You know, I remember phone numbers to buildings that don't exist. You know,
Sure.
even to this day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, there's
very huge amount of change in
Oh,
that period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I spent a little bit of time down at GE. I was never there at Borg Warner days, but when it was GE as an engineering contractor, so you know, just getting to know the plant a little bit there, and just seeing the changes that I saw it go through in the few years that I was there, and then now with it not being there at all, it's really odd every time I drive down past there.
Yeah, sure is.
It's different for sure. So you and Terry have been married for, you said, 31 years.
That's right.
And so where did you go to church? You didn't start here at Bethel when you all were married, right?
No. I was you might say I was a little bit on the ornery side when I met Terry.
You, Roger Amos, ornery. No, that's not a word I would have ever thought of you.
Yeah. So, I wasn't very up on church. I didn't know much about church, to be honest with you. And, growing up, our main focus was work. And we worked pretty hard. And that was really what our family was all about. And so, when we decided to get married, we decided to get married over at 7th Street Methodist Church. And because I'd went to a Methodist church there, Limestone Methodist, for just a few times. So we started going to church there, and then planning on getting married. So you had to take these classes, and you go and talk to the preacher,
Sure.
and go through all this stuff. And
Yep.
at the end of it, after we got married, I didn't realize this, but part of that process was the preacher would come to your house to kind of see if you were providing for your wife, and kind of just do a quick audit, if you will, to see
You
what
mean
was going on.
after you were married?
Yeah, after we were married.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we were married in March, and along around, I don't know, June or July, Frank Plybon was the preacher. I'm out mowing the yard, and it's hot and humid that night, and I'm just dripping. And here comes Frank in the driveway, and I'm like, oh, great, I got enough time to get the yard done if Frank doesn't stay too long, and I'm thinking, I really want to get the yard done tonight, so I'm not exactly in the right place spiritually, but anyway, so I wiped the sweat off my face. We go in and sit down in the living room, and Frank begins to talk about a few things, and I'll never forget this. He said, you can take a man and you can take a woman, but they're easily broken unless they're under the leadership of God. And just as soon as he made this triangular formation with his fingers, he fell asleep. I didn't know he had narcolepsy.
Fell asleep.
He fell asleep. He was on the couch. The sun was coming in. It was kind of warm that night, and he's out. So Terry and I look at one another, and we sit there for a few minutes, and he's sleeping, and so, well, I'm really wanting to get that yard mowed, and so she's got dinner ready, and
Sure.
so, well, you want to eat, oh, yeah, let's go ahead and eat, so we eat, and we're kind of quiet, and then we kept, we could see the living room from the kitchen, so we kind of keep an eye on Frank, and he's snoozing away. So she cleans up the dishes, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go get the paper. So I go out to the mailbox, get the paper, come back in, and he's still asleep, and I'm looking at my watch, and he came at 5, and we've eaten, and it's almost 6, and so I open up that newspaper, and I flick the paper, and Frank wakes up. And he picks up just where he left off. He talks about the importance of God being the center of a marriage, and how important that is, and references that triangular relationship with his fingers again. Glances down at his watch and says, "Oh my kids, it's been quite an evening. I guess I better get going." And off goes Frank, and I go back to mowing the yard. But I think God did that. I think God did that just so I would get it, Such a bizarre moment. And I swear to you, if you had a stack of Bibles, I have not added anything, or I've not taken anything away from this story. You can check it with Terry. It's one of the most bizarre situations I ever got into. But yeah, and so one thing led to another, and I started work, and I ran onto a guy named Mark Reeder. I don't know if you ever heard of the guy. So he worked down at GE. And he's actually invited us to go here because we moved into this area. And so, so we started coming here probably in the 90s, like late 1990.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've been here a while.
Yeah. So okay. With you moving into Bethel, and I know you've been here for a long time, a few years longer than I have, and Amy and I have. Because I don't think we came until, I want to say 95, 96 time frame is when we came. What kind of roles have you had here at Bethel?
Well, right around that time frame, at that time, Pastor Dan was here as assistant pastor, and Pastor Randy was here. And the Gulf War started, and Randy was deployed. And then not long after that, Pastor Dan had a heart attack. And that's when I became a Sunday school teacher. So that was my first job here. And of course, I'm fairly new. Okay, so Pastor Randy actually shared the gospel with me, and I came to know the Lord like through Pastor Randy.
Sure.
So I am a brand new Christian, and I'm
Right.
a Sunday school teacher. And ironically, I'm teaching. I just started about a year ago teaching what I started teaching back in 1990, that the world may know. It was a video series, and I had books and stuff. So basically, I was just a coordinator, sharing information. So that was, that was really my first job. And then I was part of the trustees for a period of time. And I think you and I served on the board
We
of
did.
Christian
Yep.
education together for a while.
I thought it was the
And,
trustees. We served on the trustees
Oh, okay.
together.
Yeah. So, yeah, I enjoyed working on the trustees. And then I went and became part of the board of Christian education for I don't know, just like 3 years or 4 years. I can't remember now. And I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago, I got involved with the deacons, and so I've been there ever since. So that's probably my favorite role is the deacon role,
Yeah.
because there's like a three-way blessing, because you get to help people, and so you're helping people on behalf of the church. So there's a blessing there. The people who you've helped are blessed, and then and you're blessed in the process. So I think anytime you can get a job and it's a triple win, there's nothing wrong with that. So
Yeah. Well, I know like I said, I've had the opportunity and pleasure to serve on a couple of boards with you, both the trustees and the deacons, and it has been a pleasure. So I think you do a wonderful job. As a trustee, you're super handy, of putting stuff together and figuring things out and keeping things running. And then as a deacon, I've always admired that the leadership and the joy that you've brought to that position, and I appreciate and I thank you for the stuff that you've done here at Bethel in those positions.
okay, I'll pay you afterwards, whatever you want.
No. Those,
But yeah,
those are real.
I enjoy serving, and to me, it's a pleasure to serve. I really enjoy that part of it, and and the other aspect, I find it like really easy to do, because I believe you should be guided by the Holy Spirit, and so it seems like you just sort of always know exactly what to do. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of effortless to a large extent, because you're kind of, I think, that seems to be the way to go. And you kind of take a step and, that's the way to go. Or you take a step, that doesn't seem right, so I better hold off on that. But to me, the greatest thing is to be guided by the Spirit. And I think another key thing is you have to be broken. You have to realize that you're a sinner in need of a Savior.
Yeah.
So I think those are two key things to keep in mind as far as service. But I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Giving back.
And being able, listening, right, and listening to the Holy Spirit's guidance, and I think you have to, at least for me, I've had to learn and am still learning to listen. It's not something that it is something that I've struggled with over the years, and just hearing that voice and knowing that it's the right step to take, and following through with that, it's truly, like you said, it becomes easy when you learn to listen.
Yeah.
So, and it's some people are able to better than others, and it truly is a blessing when you're able to hear that and know that the steps you're taking are in the right direction. So, well, thank you for that. That was really nice. So you and I have a couple things in common. We're both working that engineering field type of framework. But growing up, we both grew up in the Rockport area. So down in Rockport is your family farm, is where you grew up, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Mom and Dad bought the place where I grew up right when I was born. So
Okay.
they bought it like in the summertime, and I was born in that fall. So that's the only real place I ever remember, as far as the Amos family farm is over in Wadesville, and I spent a lot of time at the Ball. My mom's family farm was just up on Gates Ridge. So
Okay.
we ran cattle, and my grandpa Ball had two farms, and so we'd bring hay in from those two farms and kind of operate like a little bit of a feed lot
Sure.
type. But we were just small farmers. I think the most cattle we ever had at one time was like 30 head of cattle, you know. Dad was big on, we always had a few chickens, and, we'd get piglets in the spring and put all the garden, the waste from the garden would go to the pigs.
Sure.
And then we'd eat the pigs in the fall,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you talk about climate change, I know you didn't mention that, but but in Thanksgiving, it was when we butchered.
Sure.
And back in when I was young, there was snow on the ground at
Sure.
Thanksgiving. And
Yep.
so when we went deer hunting, we killed 3 pigs of beef and all the deer we could find.
Yep.
And put everything in the freezer.
Yep.
So that was a fun week. And but things have changed so much now. Now you go deer hunting and you need to put on your sunblock.
Sunblock, yeah.
But things have changed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it does seem a lot different than back just a few years back when we were kids and growing up and having to put up with that. And it was always snow on the ground for deer season,
Yeah.
or any of that. And these days you're fortunate if you've got a tiny little bit of snow or chance of snow for deer season. These days it seems like anymore.
Well, Terry loves snow, and she's always upset when Christmas comes and there isn't any snow, And so,
Yeah. Well, if we would ever get as much snow as we've got rain these last few years, we would cover it up. It just turned into rain. Everything turns to rain. So it is tough. So, but yeah, growing up, having the farm and the cattle and everything, we've always done that too, and we still do. I still raise cattle and goats and horses and dogs, cats and squirrels galore is how I put it. Out there on the farm. So it's having that freezer full of beef is pretty cool.
yeah, we've kind of. I don't feel comfortable running cattle down. If I'm not there, I don't feel comfortable running cattle. So
I understand.
we just try to keep the fields up and keep things maintained.
Yeah.
There's got to be somebody coming down the line that's crazy enough to be a farmer again, But,
Is that something that Ben has a desire to do of any sorts?
he has romantic notions, but I still remember the reality of a lot of hard work and barely breaking even, So economically, farming is very difficult on the West Virginia scale.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I think you're talking about breaking even. You feel pretty lucky if you break even.
Yeah.
Most years, for most farmers, I think they probably feel that way. So yeah, it's a tough life, and I'd feel the same way if I wasn't on the farm. I wouldn't be trying to raise animals, because if you're not there, something can change so quick, and if you're not there to take care of it or help with it, then it can get not just bad for your animals, but if they get into neighbors' fields or out in the road and stuff, it's just turn into a bad situation quick.
I can remember when we were growing up, there were more cattle in Wood County than there were people. And that's completely flipped now.
That is completely flipped. Yeah. Yeah. Rural Wood County. There's really not a lot left in rural Wood County these days, so. But I've had the pleasure of growing up and continuing to live with 4-H and being a part of my life and my kids' life and everything. So I get to see more than probably a lot of people do with the rural portions of still Wood County, which is really cool. So growing a garden, do you still grow a garden? You had a garden back then. I assume you still have a garden now?
Yeah, I still put in a garden for my mom. Part of her generation, if someone stops by the house, she feels the need to give them something, and so we normally you can put 30 tomato plants in a row. The garden's about 40 yards by 40 yards. So the idea is, what do you want to can this year? So we'll look and, hey, we got like right now we're heavy on corn. We got plenty of corn. But I really like to grow corn, because corn's easy, So, I grow potatoes every year, and, we'll have to decide how many green beans, we want to plant. And so everything's like, when I talk about stuff, it's 40 yards long. So, if you plant like 40 yards of green beans, and I usually plant them 5 inches apart, and you get a double row. You don't take up so much space. And I'm kind of anal. I lay the garden out with a string and a tape
Sure.
measure.
Yeah.
I want all the rows straight,
Yeah.
so it's just a matter of what do we want to plant. And I like to experiment with stuff. So
Sure.
we might do some garlic this year, or I kind of always try to pick something. We got into doing sweet potatoes, and I had 3 dump truck loads of Calmaner brought down. And the first year, and my mom, she doctors stuff a little bit, but the first year we grew a 12.6 pound sweet potatoes, about the size of a football.
Holy
And
cow.
surprisingly, it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little. You had to use a kind of like like a reciprocating saw to cut it.
I was going to say chainsaw.
No, you don't need to fire up a chainsaw. But, so we like to grow some big sweet potatoes, just kind of as fun. And but it's mainly geared toward showing Ben and Shannon how you do a garden. And having my mom have things, she likes to grow. I mean, she'll have 30 tomato plants, and she just likes to give stuff away.
Sure.
We gotta have the ones with the yellow with the red centers, and we gotta have the big beefsteak tomatoes.
Yeah.
We gotta have ox hearts. So she saves her own seeds. So I always put a row in for her. And I like Romas, so
Okay,
I'll put in a whole row of Romas. And I use the old tomato stakes on mine because Romas only get about 5 feet tall, and use the new tomato stakes on hers. So. But, my father-in-law had a sawmill, so we still have that at my brother-in-law's place. So we still, cut some timber, and we're going to have to make some tomato steaks. So we'll have to go find a log, and you can make a lot of tomato steaks out of a big log.
Oh, yeah. You sure can.
Yeah, and real quick, too.
With the right tools.
That's right.
And a sawmill would let you do that for sure.
Yeah. So I really enjoy, the being outdoors and doing stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
I when I was married 30 years, I got to realizing that this one chainsaw I'd had when we got married, actually before we got married. And I got to thinking about that poor old chainsaw is 30 years old. Now, it still starts up and runs fine.
Sure.
I got to thinking, it's time for an upgrade. And so I went and bought another chainsaw, a big chainsaw. And I got to thinking, I need another one, So I ended up buying 2 new chainsaws after we've been married 30 years. So I suppose in, 29 more years, I'm going to be looking at buying some more chainsaws.
Absolutely.
Because they don't last forever. I tell you that because my mom, when she was 83, she wanted a brand new weed eater. She got frustrated with me, and she went to Ripley and bought her a brand new steel weed eater. So my mom still mows the grass.
Straight shaft or curved shaft?
No, straight shaft.
Straight shaft. Yeah, that's the only kind to get.
Yeah. So my mom still mows the yard.
Wow.
With a self-propelled lawn boy that she just got new wheels put on, and so that work ethic.
Sure.
It's something that I think coming from the farming community, you get a work ethic.
Absolutely.
If you want to keep your cattle or you got to take care of your animals, and you got to do it twice a day normally, and you got to knock the ice out of the watering troughs, and you got to do all those things whether you want to do it or not, and whether you're tired or whether you're sick or.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the greatest things that comes out of being involved in a farm or working on stuff is you have to be able to work. And I think to me, if I could pass anything on to the younger generation is a little bit of work won't hurt you. Just get out there and do it, and you'll be fine the next day. You might hurt a little bit, but you'll be fine.
Sure.
And I see so many people are afraid to do stuff. They're afraid, and you should never be afraid of anything.
No.
You just figure it out and ask a few questions, get some help, and go for it. Because that's the way our dads were. Is they just went for it.
You gotta be willing to try, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're making it. Sometimes, a lot of times, you're making it up as you go. Trying to figure it out, and one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Just following that path, trying to keep it going. But growing up on a farm teaches that work ethic, that it's a daily thing. It's not something that you get to do for a week and then a month later come back and try it again. But if it's a daily thing, and that's what life's about, right?
Yeah.
It's a daily thing. It's a daily walk. It's to daily commitment to keep moving forward.
But I think the Lord can help you, because there's a lot of times, when I'm brush hogging, I spend a lot of time with the Lord, because it's just me and the tractor, and in same way with deer hunting, or same way with anything. It's like while you're going about those mundane tasks, it's an opportunity for the Lord to guide you.
Absolutely.
And He's helped me out immensely, not only in my spiritual things, but in my, I'm constantly, in my job, something breaks, what are we going to do?
Sure.
And usually when they come see me, there's a lot of things going wrong, and we need to do something now. And I think I throw all that out there because the good Lord can guide you in all things, not just the church-related things, but in work things and relationships, knowing when to keep your mouth shut and when to say something. And, it's just that walk with the Lord is, I think, grows out of a lot of time putting in hay or doing. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is you should have like two things going on at once. I don't have a problem with people praying while they're driving or gardening, or to me, work is relaxing, as crazy as that sounds.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. It's whether you look at, if all you ever do is look at it as just work, then that's all it'll ever be, is just work. But when you look at it as this is the life I've chosen, and this is the life I enjoy, and this is part of what makes that life.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same way in your daily walk, your hourly walk, every constant moment of being aware and listening and talking with God.
Yeah.
And when you make it a complete portion of your life, and it makes it easy, it makes it easier to hear and easier to follow and say, okay, this is where we're guiding, because you're in that constant communication.
Yeah.
And the life that you live that way allows you to see that in more clearly every day that you go about it.
I think so.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Roger.
Hey.
It has been a pleasure talking with you. We're about out of time. I got one question for you.
Okay.
You talked about your garden and a 40 yard by 40 yard garden. That is, to me, that's huge. That's still a really big garden, and to continue to do that is pretty cool. Because again, not a lot of people grow large gardens like that anymore. So. But you seem to really enjoy the garden and growing different things. And what is the one thing or maybe a one thing out of that garden that you thought, well, I'm not sure how this will turn out. I wonder what it's going to be, that turned out really well for you?
Oh, wow.
Besides that 12-pound or football-sized sweet potato, which that's really cool.
I think, when Dad and I, we worked in the garden for years, and Dad liked, he liked Silver Queen corn and Golden Queen corn.
Yeah.
We'd always plant both, and we'd plant it in such a way that it'd be like plant it in 3 or 4 weeks apart, so you'd have corn all summer long.
Sure.
And we had like you have wind storms and things, and that Golden Queen would constantly fall over. You had to get down there and try to
stand it up and hold it up.
It's always a mess, So I started talking to Randy Fisher about that, and Randy said, "Oh man, what you need to do is grow bodacious corn." I said, "Oh yeah, what's the deal with that?" He said, "Well, it's got a stalk on it that's like field corn, but the ears are just sweet as can be." He said, "You won't have the problem of it blowing down nearly as bad as you do with Silver Queen." So I started planting bodacious corn years and years ago. And he was right. I mean, I've had very little problem with it blowing down, and we picked a lot of corn off of it. And to me, the fun thing is to have a good crop.
Sure.
Your garden looks good until about June, and that's the difference. Around June, July timeframe is when you see the difference between amateur gardeners and serious gardeners. And when I get to July and I'm still picking corn and the garden still looks reasonably good, that's when I, thank you, Lord, because while I'm out there hoeing, hey, would you please bless the garden?
Sure.
To me, I have very little control. I can plant it, I can hoe it, and I can pick it. But it's up to Him to give me the sunshine and the rain at the right times and, everything else. So, Yeah, my big takeaway is bodacious corn.
Bodacious corn.
Yeah.
That is a corn I've never heard of. You know, I've heard silver queen and the sweet corn and all that, and field corn and different things. Bodacious corn. I have to ask about that one a little bit more, I guess, because that sounds cool.
Yep.
Bodacious corn. I like it.
I'll bring you some.
I'll take it because I'm all for it. Bodacious corn. So again, thank you. It's
Yeah, my
been a
pleasure.
pleasure having you here tonight. Appreciate you being willing to share with us and share a little bit about your life and how things are going. And it's always good to catch up and be able to talk face to face.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much. We're really happy everybody's been able to join us here tonight. And as we talk about life conversations, what is God doing in your life? We'd love to hear from you. Thank you all very much.
Where sin runs deep, your grace is more. Where grace is found is where you are. And where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. It's where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. So teach my song to rise to you. When temptation comes my way, and when I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. When I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Lord, we need you. Oh, we need you. Every hour we need you. You're our one defense, our righteousness.